2013. Once Mr. Twiddy is seated, we'll go on to our next part, which is the Licensing Act 2003 Committee. Thank you, Mr. Twiddy. No apologies for absence, we're all still here. Any disclosures of interest? No? Thank you. Item 3 then is the review of the Licensing Act 2003 policy. Over to you, Mr. Twiddy.
Thank you, Chair. So this relates, as you've said, to the review of the Licensing Act 2003 policy. And the Licensing Act requires the authority to undertake a regular review of its policy. So the current policy is due for review. And as you will understand, actually it's full council that has to adopt the policy, not yourselves, not the licensing committee. That's stipulated in the Licensing Act. The way that it's normally worked at this authority, though, is for this committee to do the work in relation to the review, have a look at the consultation results, and then recommend the policy or any amendments to the policy to full council for adoption. So earlier this year, the committee looked at the policy, and then also you'll also remember earlier this year we spoke about drink spiking and nighttime safety, and the fact that there'd been a recommendation that authorities should look at putting something in their policy about drink spiking to help the licensed trade deal with it and give some recommendations in the best practice, best ways of dealing with that. So what I've done for you, I had a look at the LGA website. We've got quite a lot of information on this, quite a lot of detailed information. There's also advice on other websites as well. And so we came together with a proposal on page 7 of the report pack that you have, which has some detailed recommendations to the licensing trade about how to ensure nighttime safety and combat drink spiking, and we're hoping that you'll be happy to endorse that and recommend that to be put into this authority's licensing policy. There's also recommendations there on page 9 in relation to safeguarding and also in relation to modern slavery over on page 10 and the reporting protocols for that. Also, I think one of the important things that will help us actually quite a lot in relation to the committees and the dealing with Licensing Act applications is that there's a proposed protocol there starting on page 12, and that's really to help the licensing team when we receive objections to license applications, to enable us to tell those people making those representations or objections how their representation will be dealt with, which parts of it will be in the public domain, which will be kept private, which parts of their objections will be redacted. I think it will be a very useful document because at the moment there is no real guidance from the Home Office about certain aspects of how you deal with representations and what parts are in the public domain and which are not. So in summary, Chair, all of the things that are in this report pack were consulted on. We sent them out to relevant interested parties and people that had expressed an interest in responding to consultations in the past. It went to all the town councils in the district. We only got a reply actually from Skegness Town Council, so I thank them for that. And they endorsed what was in the proposed policy changes. That was the only consultation response that we received. So my assumption is that of the people that took the time to read the proposals, they had no issues with them. So really, Chair, it's for any questions that members have got for me. And then what we're hoping is that you're happy to endorse the proposed changes and recommend them to full council for adoption later on this year. Thank you, Chair.
Anybody got any questions? Twiddy? Yeah?
even though we're in the partnership, the whole purpose of licensing is that it's for each district council to put the policies and procedures in place that it feels are relevant for its particular area. So I think within the partnership, we're the first authority to look particularly at drink spiking and nighttime safety and what we want to put in our policy in relation to that. I suspect the other two councils may have a look at that, decide whether they want to. Yes. I'll say no more, Councillor Horton.
That's a joke.
Yeah, can I just ask, I see this thing asked for Angela, how is that going to be advertised? Because I've never heard of that before, because I've never asked for Angela, obviously, yet. And the second thing I wanted was, it's under 4 of the application to vary DPS. It said, and I think this is only to do with the designation of the identity of the DPS. It can only be made by the police. So if you suspect it is not the same person, can you report that to the police or us, or how is it that it's only the police can respond to that?
So I'll deal with the DPS, the designated premises supervisor situation first. Yes, only the police can object to a proposal for somebody to be the designated premises supervisor. But if we have concerns and we have intelligence that we feel the police need to know, then we would feed that to the police. But ultimately, it's their decision. If they decide not to object, then to a proposed DPS, we cannot bring that proposal before yourselves. It's national legislation, Councillor, so you couldn't override that within your policy. Okay. As for Angela, that's it's a nationwide campaign that's been out for quite a while now, and I think you'll find the majority of our publicans, particularly the publicans that are part of national chains or running quite large businesses, will be well aware of it. But the whole purpose of putting it in the policy is to signpost it and actually say and promote it in effect. So we're hoping by putting it in the policy and then telling the trade about the changes to the policy, those that don't know about it, it will make them aware. But I think if you just Google Ask for Angela, it brings up a lot of promotional material for it. I think it's something.
Yes. It's been on the television.
I think first of all, it would need to be one of our licensed premises that actually promoted it and signed up to it. I mean, if their bar staff weren't aware, some perhaps will do that. There is signage available on the Ask for Angela website. It is something that we could promote if you feel that it's not promoted as well in the East Lindsey district as you feel it perhaps could be. But I'm just quite surprised. I thought it was very well known.
Perhaps not necessarily, like, you know, like via social media. I think, like, you know, if you're, you're targeted ad.
Yeah.
I just targeted
Councillor
Graham,
Councillor Brooks.
in national.
Yeah, I have seen it advertised and it has been televised as well.
Did you know about it?
Pardon?
No.
Yes. Right. Anything else, Councillor Leonard? Thank you. We've got a second of that. Everyone in favour, please show. Thank you. That concludes our meeting today. Thank you for your patience.